Hey, do you really like this front bumper just in case? Oh yeah, keep her going. Keep her going.
Okay.
Moving millimeter by millimeter, but it's progress.
Oh, this thing is ugly.
Yeah, sleeper, man.
Oh.
Rich was already checking out the rockers, of course.
There, what rockers?
Exactly. We got to do this for the ground. That ain't going nowhere. Okay, now back up and come get us.
Look how full of snow this is.
That's gross.
We're gonna let that melt for a little bit. That is gross, Bugger.
Hello, my name is John. Welcome to the garage. Alright, so we're starting in today. Brand new project. It's actually been on the channel before. We fiddled with it a little bit last video, which was like a year ago. Time flies when you are not doing much. Anyway, we have ourselves a 95 EG coupe. I bought this thing from my buddy Travis, and it had a blown up motor. It was living in a field. We went and rescued it, and yeah. So the backstory is my buddy Trav has a EG6, a hatch, and he K-swapped all-wheel drive that with, well, he's a pretty cheap guy. He's thrifty. So he managed to find Wago parts like 2 provinces over. Him and Richard went out there, drug a whole car back that had Wago parts in it, and he pulled that back. And so his car is all-wheel drive. He got a K24 from the junkyard, CRV trans, and he did the whole thing for I think like maybe $3,000 or something like that. Like, it was ridiculously cheap, and nobody ever believes him. They always say he's lying. It costs way more than that to do a K, blah blah blah. So, which, I mean, they're not wrong. It does cost money to. We took that as a challenge. Like, can we do it even cheaper than that? We don't have the wagon stuff, so that's gonna be interesting and not as good. But we do have a lot of cheap parts. So we're going to, like I said, I'm already into this thing, so I'm not going to show you under the hood. But that is our challenge with this car. See how cheap we can actually K-swap it, and then all-wheel drive it, and maybe turbo it if we actually are doing okay on budget. So I don't have a budget. It's literally as cheap as I can possibly be. Otherwise, I'm sleeping in the garage. That's my wife will have no. Just literally as cheap as we can make it. That's how cheap it needs to be. So I will cut some corners, which I probably will regret. But I mean, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, then we'll do it again. And then it'll cost twice as much, and it'll all be for nothing. But all right, here we go. All right, so this build has a couple layers to it. First off, we have the super budget part of it, which is I want to be cheaper than what Trav built his car, which his was like around $3,000, and I'd be like to be less than that if I can. So that's what we're going the budget route for. Second thing, I would like the car to be as sleeper as possible. Like, I don't want it to be loud. Maybe a cutout on it if we need to be loud. But yeah, look reasonably stock, reasonably beat, hubcap car, and stock height, and then yeah, we'll just flex on people. The other aspect of that is that the law enforcement in my city does not like car guys. So if we don't look like it's a car guy's car and it's just kind of a hoopty, I'll probably enjoy driving it more, because you get pulled over, even like go drive the Datsun. If I get pulled over in that thing, it's getting a full vehicle inspection, and like it's all been redone underneath, but it's not, I don't know, like they go through everything. They go through like door hinges and weather stripping and just like all the little stuff that, you know, some project cars, they don't get that because they're not new. They're old cars already and stuff is hard to find. So anyway, keep her as stock as we can, fix up some of the rust and some of the dents, and make it halfway as presentable. Still looks like a hoopty, but is fun to drive. So that's our kind of our goal for this. This one,
Yes, that's gonna be drilled out.
lines, we can take the fender off so we can run
Tuck.
the wires,
Yep.
and then charcoal canister and
Making
fuel filter
plans.
mount. Then all the power steering stuff, and we can just loop it down there.
Yep.
Alright.
It is actually looking pretty clean though after cleaning it. Missed a couple spots though.
Bruh.
So where was it?
Yeah, pressure washer. I was in there scrubbing with my hand like a peasant.
Get around too, or
Baby.
what?
Hey, keep it PG for the ground.
So,
Got him.
Caught him, loop.
okay.
That's what I would do.
That's something's done.
Something like that. I'm probably gonna hate myself for wearing stuff like that.
This is the part that kicked off the whole idea for this incredibly super budget? I don't know. It's budget anyway. So the story behind this one is I had one in decent shape and I had it thrown up on Marketplace or whatever because I didn't really need it and I did not actually want a K-swap car. Like we got Travs, mine was gonna stay D series. It's all good. I don't need a tranny kicking around. And then this lady messaged me and she's like, hey, I have a CRB, blah blah blah, and I guess her son was driving and somehow stripped out fifth. Anyway, she said she lost fifth gear, so she needed a replacement transmission. So I sold her it, and she gave me back this one as a core. So I have had it open because I had to see what was going on with it. Sorry, that fan is loud. It's blowing right at you. Yeah, let me pull the case back off, and I'm sure it's full of grinding sparks and all kinds of garbage. I did not seal it up well. It'll need a clean inside, but why is this thing so together? There we go. It's not together. For some reason, the bearing race stayed in the case. I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, that's not the part that was wrecked. Well, maybe it is now. This is your number 5, guys. That is so gross. Teeth are mashed right off. It's perfectly smooth. I'm guessing that it's all down there in the bottom, just chunks. But yeah, that's really the story of that. It was a core. She's gonna throw it away. I said, well, I'll take it. And so here, now we have an all-wheel drive case. Anyway, my original thought was I'll take the gear off, bring it to work, put it in the lathe, and just smooth it right out. Pretty much make it a spacer and put it all back together, and we will have a 4-speed all-wheel drive car. Which is fine, they make kits for that, but obviously they're not because your 5th gear is schmelted. They're for drag cars. And then, as we got to talking, we're like, yeah, you know what would be cool? If we did a super budget all-wheel drive, but we did a 6-speed. So I'm like, well, okay. So we keep our eyes open. We talk about it, it's cool. I have a friend, he picks up a TSX. Wouldn't you know, it's a manual TSX with a 6-speed. That's just don't look at the mess. Anyway, yeah, we eat a lot of yogurt. Anyway, he said he picked it up for pretty cheap because it was just humming away. And then he brought it to one of his friends who's a mechanic or in school to be a mechanic or something. And they took it apart in school Found out that the diff bearings were chowdered, and yeah, I bought it off him. So together in all these, I have 150 bucks in the TSX one, which I thought was a pretty fair price for, like, it worked fine until they took it apart. So it should all be there. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. 150 bucks for that. That one, I am up 400 bucks. So, because that was basically free, and then, yeah, the money that I made from selling her the transmission, that counts. Hopefully, we can make one 6-speed all-wheel drive out of both of these pretty much garbage trannies. They would have been just tossed or whatever. So, anyway, get this one apart and see what we can do. Now, I don't know if it'll work, but the plan is take the gear stack out of this one, put it in that one, and then we will have an extremely cheap all-wheel drive 6-speed. Yeah. I think we're going to do okay. I have no idea if this will work. I've done very little research, and in my typical fashion, I'm just going to take stuff apart and then see if it fits together, and then if it doesn't, it'll just sit in a pile, and then when I'm gone, someone will have to clean out my crap, and I'll probably be on an episode of Hoarders. You know what's crazy? I was on Marketplace, and I saw, get off there, and I saw one of these shift selectors from a TSX for sale for $450. That is unreal. In my opinion. I mean, if you're getting that, man, kudos to you. But that's crazy. So maybe I'll just be a little bit more gentle. There we go. Yeah, we'll just dump all that dirt right there into the transmission. Perfect. Almost found out the hard way that these are reverse thread. That was interesting. Lucky for me, you guys have been in here already, so everything is loose. Sweet. Should have brought some snap-ring pliers home. Dropped out. Perfect. This case should be glued together with Honda Bond. But like I said before, they've had it apart, so it should be apart. So there we go. Easy. Alright, let's do it. Hook our peepers on here, as they say. Let me see. I don't see anything right off the bat that I should be worried about. Oh, what's going on here? I'm turning off my light. There we go. Back in business. The only thing I kind of noticed was, like, it looks like maybe on this, whatever it's called, where the fork rides. Is it a selector? I don't know. These guys that know more than me. It looks like maybe it got a little bit chattery there. So, and I did see there's a little bit of shrapnel in the case. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna pull these gear stacks out and then we'll look at it a little closer here. Well, I think I found what the noise was. Input shaft bearing. Sounds unhappy. And then diff bearing. That sounds unhappy. Compared to this one. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Oh boys, I'm dumb. I was rolling this thing around, so I just, looking around trying to find, like, well, where did that little chunk of tooth come from? What? What happened? That's gross, man. Those are... That ring gear was obviously junk, but those are toasted. My Lanta. Well, what else did we break? I'm gonna have to dig through this a little bit. And why? Why would it do that? Well, I found a little more. Basically just corresponds with the ring gear, but the pinion, that's gonna be hard to see on camera, but the pinion is, the gears are almost rolled over a little bit, if that makes sense. Like they're not a nice sharp knife edge like they would supposed to be. They're just kind of beat down. But I guess that's to be expected. Yeah, they scurfed a little bit. Maybe I should spin this. Sure there's no teeth missing out. They look a little tough. So my plan was to use the whole gear stacks, because I thought that it was just some diff bearings, but I must have misunderstood. It's definitely busted up the ring gear. So, well boys, I think we have a plan. I made a mess. It's everywhere. So, I started stripping down the CRV input shaft, and there was more junk in there than I thought. It's really gross. And then I was like, why am I doing this? Why don't I just put the input shaft from the TSX in the CRV case? I'll swap over the other shafts so that I have the right final drive, because I don't know if the CRV and the TSX are the same final drive. So, I'm pretty much, this is the TSX one, I'm going to just swap the whole gear stack, put it on the CRV shaft, pop that thing right in there, and then throw this back in. This is the CRV one. See, she's got double ring gears. Yeah. Well, tranny's all together. Bench is a huge mess, but we got her. It does all the things now. Basically, hey, the bench is less messy. Basically, all the TSX gears mounted on the counter shaft for the CRV, and then the selector. There's a CRV selector. And we had to change out this little block that goes in there and holds the ears, if that makes sense. You'll see it when you have it apart if you get this far. Anyway, it's got a slot in it that's this long in the CRV one, and the 6-speed one is notched higher up so that you can actually go all the way up to get reverse. If you don't do that, you'll just have 6 gears and no reverse. The engine we are using, I know I didn't cover that. I actually lost a whole bunch of footage, which kind of sucks. It was on one of my other cameras, and then now it's gone. I had it sitting on the bench, my phone, which is what I was filming on, and I must have brushed a little close to the bench. Anyway, tranny was standing up. I hit it. It fell down. It smashed my phone, and my phone is junk. So I should probably take it in. Maybe they can get all my stuff out. I'm sure they still could. Just most of my screen doesn't work. All the important parts. So yeah, but I need to make this video, so we're not going to wait for that. Engine, sorry, way off track. Engine, we actually got 2. My garage is just totally blown apart now. 2 K24A2s out of whatever they were, 03, something like that. I think 03 TSXs. Found 2 of them at the junkyard. Same week. So I took a day off and we went and scooped them up, and of course it was minus 30 because Canada, it's always winter and it's always way too cold when we're at the junkyard. I don't know why I can't go to the junkyard in the summer, but it seems like it's just a winter activity for me. So we got 2 of them, picked the better of the 2 to put in the car, and yeah, I guess we got a spare in case something goes kaput.
ARP flywheel bolts.
Yeah, those are ARPs for sure.
Exetti stage 5 flywheel. Okay.
Well, eBay clutch is going on. I didn't even see a brand name on here. I'm sure I'll find it, put it somewhere in the video. definitely going to not clean that with brake clean and just put the discs right on there. Oh yeah, clutch max. And yes, I'm reusing old bolts. I think those are from a D series actually. There you go, man. Clutch max. Fresh, white, and clean. And good for at least 7 clutch kicks. Alright, so here we are. And I'm about to try and save myself about 90 to 120 bucks. It'd probably be more like 150 by the time I got the part. But I need an adapter from the K24A2 intake manifold to the RSX Type S throttle body. She don't bolt on. There's some holes that look close, and you might think, oh, it'll work. Like the two, you can't see them. The two far ones, they're like, oh yeah, that would work. I'm like, I can't even open this. I don't have enough hands. You get it lined up so that it's the throat of it is perfect. You can see there's no holes or that line up. This one, they're all just off. So, what we're gonna try and do, weld up these holes, and then I need to build an ear that comes up a little bit higher, like a 1/2 inch higher, and then we can drill through that, re-drill it to match this throttle body, and yeah. Alright, so this one I brought to work, and I welded the ear on like I said, drilled new holes, filled in all the other ones, welded them closed. Honestly, did it with a spool gun, and it worked okay, but I have used a spool gun like once in my life, and it was to tack some stuff, so I was a little worried it wasn't going to work. If you compare them side by side, you can see what I'm talking about with the ear. The holes are a little bit different, close to the same, but a little bit different orientation. And yeah, that was about it. We now have an intake manifold that will adapt to our RSX Type S throttle body. Figured since we've got this all putting her together, we might as well give her a gasket. So just gonna make one real quick out of your favorite beverage container box. Anyway, it's cardboard. Layer on there. Get your smallest ball peen or soft hammer. Probably a soft hammer would be better, but I don't have one. So we're just gonna beat on this and then we'll have a gasket.
Look at that professionalism right there.
Mint.
Love it.
Good enough. And there you go. You got a cable style RSXS throttle body on the K24 intake manifold. My harness came in today. If you guys have ever wondered what an $80 eBay tucked engine harness looks like, that is it. She's long. Where am I supposed to tuck this? And yeah, they got everything nicely labeled, which I will probably peel off this big giant label tape after we get it installed, because that's just too much. It looks like police tape, but really appreciate it for putting everything together. Sweet. We will see how that works. This coiler on the floor here. Guy can actually get a look at it. Very nice. And this one came today. This is the mount kit. And this one, I think it's there's no brand on it. This was the cheapest mount kit I could find. This one was $160 Canadian. And I don't know what it came out to with shipping and taxes. I'll have to look. Well, we'll just unbox and have a little look. Trav is my helper because I only have one hand to hold the camera. Oh, buddy. That's too shiny. I got some satin black there. We'll paint this.
Yeah.
He's already mad.
No paint.
We got another one. Equally as shiny. Wow.
And keep in mind, folks, this is the same mount kit that I have on the white EG.
Yeah.
Exact same. The only difference is you can't use the rear mount because it's all-wheel drive.
Right.
That's the
So you have to-
only difference.
What do you do? Modify it or?
Well, you could if you're not scared to weld and grind stuff, but for the average guy, you just order the rear mount and then it's done.
Oh.
But for guys like us, yeah, just cut and weld and then figure something out and then we're good to go.
Well, that's what we'll do.
But yes, for everyone wondering about the eBay mounts, as much as we love the brand name,
They work just fine.
the eBay ones work just fine. I've had them in the white EG, which you guys seen on the channel for the last, 3-4 years now?
Right, you can't just sneak past. We gotta look at these welds. Should have Richard here. Richard would be able to tell us what we're looking at. That just looks like really thick paint.
The thickest.
It looks a little cold, if I'm being honest. A bit heavy on the wire. Only welded on one side. Why are my hands so dirty? I haven't done anything all day. Yeah, that's fine. If we hate it, if it broke, we could always weld it on the other side. So we got 3 shiny blocks.
3 shiny things.
It's just a glow from down there.
Right?
Oh, my fly's open. What is that?
This is the rear for the trans mount.
Oh.
Well, the rear that goes on the subframe. The one mount. Which one is it? This one. Goes.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like that.
Sweet.
What else we got here?
Oh, yeah. That one's the one that goes on the frame. Is that engine
Yeah,
or
drive-
tranny
or-
side?
It'd be passenger side, I guess.
I mean, like, the only thing that I'm noticing that's garbage is the welds, which the camera won't pick up on because it's too shiny, but
Them
They're-
welds are good.
they're
I've seen
probably
worse.
fine. Yeah, I've definitely seen worse holding in more.
Yeah. Bag of hardware.
Mint?
And then this, depending, like we said, if you guys are able to cut and weld stuff, you might be able to make this mount work. That's made for a front wheel drive K.
Oh, that's the...
This is the trans mount.
Oh, yeah. We'll sort it out when we get there.
If you're not scared to cut and weld, I'm sure you could make it work.
I have plenty of flux core wire.
You paid less for this one than I did. But like we said, guys, there's nothing against the brand name stuff. It's just, with this certain build, we're going to see how cheap we can actually do it.
The cheapest. Almost the cheapest.
It will be.
Hey, we don't need panorama vision.
Like a
Like,
fucking
what are you
two
trying to-
phones.
What are you trying
One
to-
for the plug and one for the load.
We're going to be minty. There should be a fresh.
We'll have to back up. Just to get this PTU to kind of dip under the frame.
Oof, look at that, bud.
It is going to hit the exhaust or whatever.
Okay, a little more
Drop it
Any dangerous
down.
spots?
Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
Alright, cameraman, just relax.
Oh my god.
Okay, it's drifting your way a little bit.
You go like a 1/4 inch Brody's way. You got bolts?
That one long one's for that side over there.
Brody, you got a bolt for your side?
Yep.
Oh, right there. Don't
Yeah.
have too much.
Yeah.
Nope. Oh, you're on me into my side.
Alright, so here's what we got going on. When I bought these mounts, I bought the cheapest ones that I could get on eBay. But they're front wheel drive mounts. So the rear T-bracket, whatever it is, it doesn't work with the all-wheel drive tranny. I don't know why. Probably because I'm cheap. And I bought the wrong stuff. Anyway, so this is the T-bracket. It's just got... I'm about to do some grinding on it, okay? I figured I'd clue you in as to what I'm doing before we got there. So I think this thing looked about like that, minus this hole right here. So we lopped it off there, because these didn't work at all. And cut it off here, and we are going to attach it to, you see that stub pipe sticking out there? And weld that on. That's a bolt that goes all the way through into the case. We'll weld that pipe on, bolt that runs through, and then on this side, we have that bolt hole right there. You're gonna attach it there, and then the one on the bottom. And honestly, I've seen online guys breaking blocks just from only having 2 mounting and the torsional twist and whatnot. So we will probably try and grab one of these holes here. We've got like 4, 5, 6. We got any number of holes we could grab. Obviously can't get up here because those are for the exhaust. Can't come over here because it's way too far away, but there's the half shaft mount there. So anyway, I'll attach those two and then jot off of there and come to one of those bolts that are poking out there. And there we go. It's not beautiful, but as good as my old flux core will get us.
Alright, axles. I forgot to clue you guys in, and it's really too late to show you now because everything is in the car. I used RSX base. They were from an automatic car, axles. And then I used an 8th gen intermediate shaft because that's what I could find at the junkyard. Everything seemed to fit nicely. Nothing is bound up or stretched too far. Car is at stock height. Probably will remain at stock height. So, yeah, that's what we're using.
Coolant temp sensor on these for the gauge looks like this. The sensor is actually in there. Pokes down, blocks this off. This is water jacket, and then this is just vacuum. So on this car, just plugged it off. You kind of see behind the wires there. Put a cap over the vacuum port, and I threaded in a bung there, and then I used the temp sensor from the D series that was in here. So seems like it should work okay. Minty. For the crank position sensor, you see they're buried in there by the crank pulley. Apparently between the K24 and the K20 they're different, the sensors are different, and the connectors are different, and the wiring is different. So we have a K20 harness here, and you see the little like the tabs on the side where it would slide into. Well, those are just kind of guide tabs to keep it tight. So I took the sensor out of the block and I just shaved the little ears off that poke out. Oh, you can't see nothing. Anyway, I shaved the little ears off the side of the sensor. So now this K21 plugs right in, clips in, locks in, perfect. And then you have to swap the wires around to different pins. You can find that information online. Better film something or we're gonna have it running before and get no footage.
Oh, we got it. Oh, have you explained the harness?
I don't know.
Piece, it'll work. CPS.
I think we got an unboxing of it.
They're coming here for your kids. You know
Cam
which.
position sensor. There's 2.
Oh yeah.
Okay, which one's a cam and which one's TDC?
Anyway, boys are laying out the wiring.
Right.
This is looking great.
Internet.
We'll figure that out. There we go. We got the charge harness installed, which is basically it's just a little bit of the EG charge harness and then a little bit of the TSX harness. But off the battery, white wire goes to the starter. This little one goes to this side of the fuse box. Off this fuse box, this one goes to the alternator. That is it turns into a black one, but yeah, that's the alternator post and the starter power cable. Obviously the white one runs all the way up. And that should be all you need. It's just 3 power cables. So that should work. Hopefully. Obviously you need to tidy it up, loom it up, and secure it. I don't know if I want it running over the top like that. Halfway's tidy. Cladding put on there. Everything is run decently. Maybe I just need to get some peak lamps because I thought I had some, but apparently I don't. And yeah. Wiring's tucked down there, ran over here. I don't know if I like that, but we'll see.
Show them how to run cables properly on a K-swap so they get them nice and clean.
I don't to find a flashlight. Alrighty, so shift cables are in. Rear mount is in, sturdy, and they're just doing the wiring right now. But yeah, I guess we need to pin those. Ran them through, ran them down, pinch between the brake lines, get out of the way. Right there.
Oh, I nailed it. Bro, I nailed it.
Good job, Richard. And then those run down under the floor. And there's a hole right there.
Remember, it's automatic.
Yeah, this one was auto, so we had to drill it. But there's a provision for a hole, and I had to actually just chug through the floor. But on your manual cars, you should have a hole there. Pop them up. It's kind of a two-man procedure because you kind of got to feed it and pull it at the same time, but it worked. We'll put a grommet in that after. Probably not. They poke out right over there. This thing's a mess. Clip in, assuming like that. We just got to build a plate to mount this shifter box. Set it up where we want it. It'll be golden. There we go. Shifter mount plate. Got these 4 for the box there. And then these 3, and then this one will just be a long bolt that goes all the way through. Bolt to the car. To take the nuts off yet. I just put those on so I could weld them in halfway straight. And yeah, a bit of paint and put her in the car. There we go. Something like that. A couple studs sticking through, and then those ones go through the floor, and then these ones are just bolted to the plate. Put it in, see how it fits. We did a little record shopping and came up with a solution for the center console, hopefully. RSX center console, and we did a little trimming on it. Cut out the back. I kind of got a little trim happy, so it's got funny lines in it, but cut out the back. It sits down quite far, and it was hitting on the tunnel. And then took out the cup holders. There's supposed to be cup holders in there, so took them out because they were hitting the shift cables. So that kind of slots in there nice. Goes over the top. And the only thing was the e-brake was way too low, so I just found some old sockets and longer bolts. Loosen off the tension a little bit so that would actually work. And that kind of got it up where it needed to be. And then of course we got an automatic one, and someone had ripped the stuff apart already, so it didn't have a shift boot. So that is a co-op grocery bag. Just hot glued in there. Drop the ring, and yeah, we'll see if that works as a shift boot. Not bad. Oh, my seam is crooked. That was going to bother me. We ended up having to cut the stock little console piece that's hooked on. It's got the ashtray, and then it's got a little flipper down thing down here for your lighter. But we trimmed the bottom off of that, so it bolts up in there, and then the center console from the RSX kind of matches up to it. It's not the best, but it is definitely better than what was in there. Look at that. The seats in. That thing fits really nicely between the seats. That's actually so good. I'm stoked on that. I'm not stoked on that little crack right there. I feel like I could have done a better job trimming the base plate piece, but you know what, it'll be fine. And this right here, still kind of goofy. I guess I could trim that out. It might tuck in a little better, but for now, I'm going to just live with that. Got a floor mat on the back. I should have vacuumed that just to cover up that hole there. Not bad. It's actually doing a pretty good job. Sweet. Can't wait to drive this thing. Alright, let me catch you guys up to speed here. Radiator. I don't know if we covered the radiator at all. It's in. It fits. It's tight. There's a gap there. But anyway, what we did was drilled the spot welds on the mounts out. Moved it all over there. So now the radiator is on this side. This one fits. I think if we had a big aluminum one, it would definitely have to have a slimmer fan because that wouldn't work. Moved the reservoir bottle, or the overflow bottle over here. Just kind of chopped up the bracket. Welded it on there and whatever. It's there. It looks alright. good enough. Hoses, factory one off the EG. And the bottom one I think was like a Silverado hose or something. Anyway, it kind of loops weird and gets down there, but made it work. Yeah, fan wiring. We just grabbed that from over here where it was and extended it, brought it up and tagged it in here. So that should be good. These little hoses, I guess they're just tied together. Trav must have done that, but yeah, they're all hooked up. And in theory, we could put coolant in it and bleed it all out. Heater core lines, just the factory EG ones, just kind of flipped and bent the heater control over a little bit so it does the thing. Still slides inside, still works mostly, so that's great. Still got to get rid of all these little yellow tags on here. We'll do that when we are done with our wiring, and I got to tie this properly. It needs to have a couple cable or P clamps or something bolt onto the block, hold it securely. But yeah, what else we got that I haven't showed you? Charge harness, I showed you guys that. Alright guys, you can kind of see it in there, just barely. That is a CRV slave cylinder. It does fit, it doesn't touch anything, although it looks like it's crammed in there. And then I used an EK clutch line, ran it all the way. I had to trim some off to make it kind of fit properly, but yeah. And then just an EG master and everything like that. So throttle cable stuff. I used the factory throttle cable, and then the bracket that was on the manifold for the D series. It had like a 90 in it right here. It was bent over. I just flattened it out, and it seems to work. All I really had to do, which was janky, was cut the this adjustment sleeve. I cut the end of it off. I cut probably an inch off of it. I just used a tubing cutter. Yeah, this is kind of just rigged up. I think if we built like a 1/4 inch plate, little triangle, grab that hole, and went underneath and grab that hole, then I think it would be great. Solid enough. Mint. Seems to do the thing. I get wide open throttle with the pedal. Oh, I broke it already. What happened? Alright, we got it fixed. Wide open. I messed up. My throttle cable wasn't fully clipped into my pedal. So I took all my measurements and cut my adjustment tube off the end of here. But I could have just left it on because now I need that adjustment, but now I got to make it up by making some sort of bracket spacer thing to mount the top of my throttle body to, or the top of my cable bracket to. So that's my own fault. Also, I don't know if I really like the angle that it's poking out of there. Focus. It's like, I think it's gonna rub. I might have to give this a little twisteroo. Anyway, it'll work. We'll just tweak it until it's gooder. Alright, might as well show you guys what I got going on with the fuel pump here. This is factory EG hanger. That is a fuel pump out of a 2018, maybe 19 F350 with a 6.2 in it. Big gas. This is the little D series pump. It's a bit shorter. I've chosen to complicate this more than I need to because this would have fit like perfectly with the feed tube. I've bent the feed tube out of the way now and pointed it in the wrong direction. But it would have fit like pretty much perfectly. I had it kind of in there. My only issue is if I just run this, then I have to do a fuel pressure regulator because the K series are a deadhead style. So I thought I would be tricky and try and utilize the factory regulator from the F350. This big thing, it was encased in plastic along with the pump, and I've kind of dismantled all that, cut all the tabs off, ground it all down. So now this fits in the tank, just barely. It's definitely not going to fit with the two of these stacked because that hole is, you know, that big. So I'm trying to figure out how to use this, because this is an in-tank return, holds it at 60 psi, and that pump from the truck, and I just have it all like factory, so all that comes out 60 psi whoosh, all the time. No matter if you're in boost, what you're doing, you should have 60 psi. It just holds it there. So yeah, now I'm trying to figure out how to feed off my pump, and it has to feed into this one, and then the top one feeds into the fuel line. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out that. Just, it's reasonably simple, but the hard part is I need to be able to get them both in the tank. I don't know how guys do it with dual pump hangers. Maybe I should Google that real quick. Alright, well there we go. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. See if it even fits. Alright, well I managed to get it all wiggled in there. So that's cool. That was a pain. And I have the fuel pump relay jumped. So should be able to just battery on and prime, and we'll see if anything blows up here. Oh, neighbors are having a party. Don't see anything leaking. It's loud in there though. We'll see if it, I guess we'll see if it works once it's running. I have to borrow a fuel testing gauge to clip in the line there and see what we're actually getting for pressure. Do that another day. That is loud. Sheesh. Alright boys. Maybe, perhaps, first start, I have a pipe rigged on just to hold my air temp sensor, which is not that important, but it's kind of important. The only thing I'm missing out of here that I know of is the O2 sensor. I don't have that plugged in. I went and got a belt. Big spender. $68. I should have got that off Amazon. But you know, support local. Did not finish my throttle cable. I'll do that sometime. But yeah, I got a half charge battery. Let's see if it will start. Screwdriver on. Light must be on because the one's unplugged. We'll go with that. There we go. Run it. Sounds like a tractor. That sounds terrible. blurping now. Is that all you want? We'll have to put a couple heat cycles through. I don't want to run it too long. I don't have any oil in the tranny or anything like that. Yeah. Well, the thermostat must have opened. The top hose is hot, and the bottom hose is less hot, but still hot. Interesting. We'll see. I've heard a lot of guys complaining about the half rads on these K-swaps. Lots of them say you need a full rad. We're not in Arizona. We might be okay, but we will see. I'm gonna say probably not enough, and you'll probably have to get a full rad, but we'll see.
Oh, yes, I forgot to tell you. So, first start on this car, when we had her running, I borrowed Richard's ECU from the K-swap Corolla that we did a while ago. It was already unlocked, everything like that, so I borrowed that from him. I do have another one coming, another K-Pro, just an eBay K-Pro. It's actually pretty cheap, and I'll put that in an ECU, and hopefully we'll get it in by the next episode that we do, and then, yeah, we can run our car on our own ECU. That would be great. But yeah, borrowed ECU to get her started. That's where I got to shut her down. That'll be part 1. We still have a ton of work to do to get this thing roadworthy. So yeah, shut her down there, and that's part 1. We'll catch you on part 2. Thanks for watching.